Where's Allie at?
Come here, Allie. Boy,
Come get in our movie.
come in. Tell me about you. Tell me about you. Tell me about your hunt, son.
And we shot some hogs.
How many hogs you shoot?
She killed 2. And I hit
Who shot that hog that's on the video I seen?
her.
You hit it, didn't you?
Mhm.
You get it?
Mhm.
That look like it. So tell me about him.
Well, I was sitting there and they put me in the blind. Nathan was supposed to sit there, but he wasn't gonna sit there by himself.
No, I won't. No.
And
Look, Bennett
there's only one seat.
there was only one seat, and Mr. Bennett didn't want me to, because Mama was hunting with me, and she didn't have a seat to sit in, so we moved to the next blind. It still didn't have but one seat, but
I sat there and it was like, I looked down the road. It was real early. I looked down the road. I seen a doe coming, and I looked behind the doe, and he was hard on. He was trailing her, and he never did come up to the feeder real early, but he just came on down the road and just sat there about 50 yards, and he was sitting there with that doe, and there's a hog come in to my left that was like walking in, and they just sat there and stared at each other, and when the feeder went off, it scared the hog and the deer, and they ran off, and it wasn't just a minute. Here come a big, pretty 9-point. It was hard to let him go. I don't know. I just used to see these small deer here, but I just had him, and I was like, I ain't gonna shoot him. And then I gave it a couple more minutes. About 20 minutes later, I looked out the corner of the blind. I could see horns like coming in. And I was like, that's him. And he come up there about 25, 30 yards, and I put it on him. Well, he seen me when I drew back, I guess, and he kind of went out just a little bit more. And when I shot, it kind of went over his back, the first shot. And
Kind of went over.
it
his
went
back.
over his back.
Oh, no, it kind of goes over the back.
Well, I missed him the first shot,
Okay, that's better.
and then
He run?
he ran off, and he come back about 30, 45 minutes later. Well, I seen him run off, and he ran about 150 yards. I could see him. I was watching him with binoculars. You could see him down there. He was pretty big. Like, I could tell he's one that I wanted to shoot. And after that 45 minutes, he finally just came back
He
in.
wanted some more corn, didn't he?
Yeah. And when he came back in, he was about 27 yards probably. And I just held it tight that time, and it hit him right in the heart.
How far did he go?
Probably about 40 yards.
You seen him fall?
He went crazy.
they had a ton of fat on him.
That was the fastest deer you ever
How
seen.
much he weigh?
Allie's weighed
185, 190.
weighed more than him.
Boy, how about
I
your
shot one
hunt,
out
Alan?
like 150 yards with a. It's like
From
it's
the
almost
start.
like a pistol bullet.
Yeah.
But
Mine
it was
is
in one of them AR
Yes,
15.
it is. But it's the
Really?
300.
How many?
We
What
shot
all did you
Yeah.
shoot?
Shot me right in the head.
Fish missed a hog.
Dropped him.
You missed
And
the
I hit
hog?
the
Hogs
one right
were scaring
butt
off the
cheek when he
deer.
ran it over.
and they
What did
swung
you
Got something? Doe? You kill a doe?
The little, he's a 9-point, had a kicker. He come in from like that way, and the holidays gonna meet each other at the field. But they just sat there and looked at each other. Then I looked, I can see this one, he's like running, coming to it, and he just like, he had his head down. That was fun.
Did it break the arrows?
Yeah.
The air stayed in him.
It went about that deep, I think. He had a good blood trail. It blends into them cactus. I told my eye fell up the tree. I mean, that was blind.
That's the prettiest buck I've ever seen.
That's a good buck right there.
Yeah.
Was that one that you saw this morning that big? She saw one that was.
How about your hunt, Allie?
From the start.
Mine ain't as interesting
Yes,
as yours.
it is.
How many?
We
What
shot
all did you
hogs.
shoot?
Rich missed a hog,
You met
and
the
the
hog?
hogs were scaring off the deer, and this one spike wouldn't leave us alone. And then finally the 10-point came out, and he was moving around, so I went ahead and shot him. And there was a good bit of blood at the start, and then it got shorter, so Rich didn't know how far he would have went. And then I looked ahead, and he was dead, standing right there in front of us.
Man, what a story.
Standing.
No, dead on the ground.
So that was the one, the 10-point.
Mhm.
Where'd you hit him?
Double lung.
What about the other one?
Probably at the bottom of his
Brisket.
How many points he had?
8.
He was little compared to the one she killed.
And it was bleeding bad and then quit bleeding?
It bled pretty good that night, but when we went back the next day, we couldn't find hardly any blood.
What kind of toe nail polish is that?
White? I need to fix it, don't I?
I
You
mean,
got a yellow jacket. That Papa, you got a yellow jacket at your hand about the sting.
ain't picking. Oh, there he is. Let me, Daddy.
Is he still alive?
Hope not. I ain't going over there. You can be the first one to pet him. Take him still a little jumpy. That's an upgrade from last time. Dang, that shot him low.
He didn't. Hit perfect. 25.
That's a fist bump, not a 5.
I'm old school.
That's not old school.
So the first day, me and Mama sat in this one blind, and like it was like probably about 15 minutes till the feeders went off when we first got there, and then a little bit later the feeders went off, and about 5 minutes later, a big buck walked out, and like I had out the blind. Like the top of it was supposed to be popped up so I could pull back, but it wasn't popped up, and so I had to be on one knee to try to pull back, and so I did that, and then the buck, I was trying to get my position to do like this and then move over, and when I did, I fell over and hit the blind, and whenever I did, the buck like ran to the wood line, but not far, and so like he just walked back, and he was like a little bit far, like about 40 yards, but I thought he was about 30, so I put my metal pin on him, and it hit real low, and so I didn't get that buck, and then
Did it hit him?
it hit right in front of him. It knocked the knock of the arrow out, and it shoved the tip of the broadhead up into it, and then that evening,
How big was he?
He was a 10 point. He was pretty big. I don't think he was a little bit bigger than the one I killed, but not much. And then that evening, Bennett took me to what he called the Promised Land, and so like there was like a bunch of big bucks come there, and so the feeder hadn't even went off, and I was just getting my stuff ready, like getting my arrows sat down and stuff, and then all of a sudden I just see a buck just walk out, a big buck walk out. He's just sitting there right at the fence, and I was like, oh crap, and then he jumped the fence, and I went to go pull back, and then he turned, and so I was like this for like a little bit, just sitting there still as I could, and then I finally got to pull back when he was broadside. And I guess he was quartering away to me a little bit too much, and so whenever I shot, it would have been a good shot, but it was quartering to me a little bit, so it was like really close to hitting the lungs, but it hit like the liver, but we still ended up finding him.
Well, tell me about the tracking him.
Oh, that was a long night. We were tracking and tracking for the whole night, and till like 12 o'clock, wasn't it? And we tracked him for like, how long did we track him? Like how far? Like 400 yards?
400 yards.
400 yards, and like, cause then there was just little bitty specks, and when Ridge, for the start of the tracking, Ridge wasn't there, and we were there for like 30 minutes just looking and trying to find any blood, but we couldn't find any. And then finally, when Ridge got there, he saw some on a one of them prickle pear things. And so when I was out there a little bit ahead, and I saw a little light, and then it was my arrow that he must have yanked it out of his body, and so I got it, and then we knew that like it went past, like it went through him, but it didn't zip through him. He had to yank it out, and then we got a head start on that then, and then we heard some coyotes howling, and they were howling and barking. And when we finally got to my deer, we smelled something that stunk. We smelled him, and then we looked over there and we found him. And the coyotes had ate all the insides and guts and
If
stuff.
y'all went straight to the coyotes, you'd have found him sooner, wouldn't you?
And then Allie shot a buck, like her little 8-point, and it hit a little low, and so whenever it did, it wasn't the best shot where it would kill him, and so we kept spooking him up. And then that afternoon when we were tracking my buck, we heard some coyotes, and we figured they had hers. But Allie has the
Y'all
story.
couldn't find them?
We couldn't find the Allie's 8-point, but Allie,
You found the coyotes?
we just heard them. Allie. Not even jump out, jump down.
I was watching.
And so, like, whenever he went over, like, at the start, he went and he was, like, kind of broadside, and so I was, like, getting ready. And then he turned, and then whenever he turned, he was just facing me the whole time. And then he kept eating, and then I went to go pull back, and then he stopped, but he wasn't there. He didn't have an angle, and so I had it like this. I was like, oh crap. And then I was sitting there for a long time just like this. Then finally he went through the feeder and around and came back in, and I pulled back. Smoked him!
Go all the way in him. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they come back
There's
out.
some water out there.
Went on one through, didn't it?
It went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the blood all the way up to there.
He
It
should
didn't go through him.
He should get a,
Yeah, huh?
yeah, it did. Should get
See,
a
look at
pour
all the
now.
blood.
Yeah, it's just dried now. It was right where he was standing when he shot. It was good and spreading from the
Where you
hit.
finding it, Nathan?
Right where it's standing, except it was laying on the ground.
Here's he just stepped on his track. Or maybe it's an old track.
And blood right in loose in that grass.
Now, do you think that's a lot of blood because of that stick? This thing is overflowing with blood now. It was clogged and now it's filling up.
That's a complete turn back to the left.
Huh?
You just made a complete turn.
That way? I
Now
mean,
you're-
that way?
Yeah, that's your left.
Wait, how you know that? What in the world?
The coyotes beat us to him, didn't they?
Smell.
Coyotes, they were howling.
Give me some. That's a pretty buck. You know he's that big when you shot him?
I don't think I knew it was that big.
You got a knife. Ain't
Yeah.
none that good, is it?
You smelled him, didn't you? Look over here. On the ground. But we heard him tell us where he was.
He's stiff as a board. He's beat.
Yeah.
He didn't know what had happened, did he?
That's a pretty buck.
I had it off.
That's the
I had the
only
lens cut off when we got up there. What did you say, Nathan?
That's the only difference right there. It would be perfectly symmetrical, which still that makes it a 9 point.
That front half is.
Wow. Dang.
Give us that Alaska
coyotes.
howl.
Huh?
Give us that Alaska howl. Tell them coyotes he's yours now.
Alright, they might come back. I'll eat them. At least that we won't have to gut him as much.
I don't.
That's his time, ain't it, Rig?
Yeah. That's you.
I mean, at least I won't have to gut him as much, just spray the insides out.
There ain't nothing inside of him gonna be good. All that's ruined.
Like, I think they went all the way to the back strap, and they still cut it up.
What you think, Nathan?
It's big.
You gonna have to thank your cousin, ain't you?
Thank
Give him
you.
5. Give
Huh?
him 5.
Oh.
I was about to just fall out sleeping.
Yeah, that we have like on that video pictures of that 10 point.
Y'all both hold it up.
Oh, what? It's still.
Alright, get up on this side so you can take a picture to see me. This is where There must have been several code. Here, Ridge gonna take a picture where you can send them to your mama and all. I need to cut this light off for yours to flash.
Mine can, it can make it pretty good flash.